All right, think of what they're saying here when they're criticizing Trump, that he's a nasty business SOB. So I want to just flip it around for the purpose of this segment. Isn't that exactly the type of guy you want handling our tax money? Someone who's going to be very tough on contractors, someone who's going to demand that they come in on budget or even under budget and early. It doesn't happen in government. So isn't that precisely the type of guy you do want in charge? Let's ask the Daily Caller's Juliegrace Brufke. We've got Trump backer Ron Nehring and Democratic strategist Richard Goodstein. Richard, I know you're a huge fan of Mr. Trump and his business acumen, so I would assume your answer is yes, that's the guy we need, right?
You know, I think there's a difference, Neil, between driving a hard bargain, and I think there's nobody in your audience who would deny anybody the right to do that. But that's different from stiffing contractors, people who did the work, and you're not trying to nickel and dime them, trying to say, well, it was this good, not this good. He totally stiffed them, contractors, employees. Think of these poor people who invested in Trump University, who lost tens of thousands of dollars, the people who put money into the foundation, only to learn that he engaged in illegal self-dealing, illegal political contributions. And the final kind of piece is, Neil, is don't take Hillary Clinton's word for it, or even Joe Biden's. It's Mitt Romney and George Shultz and Meg Whitman, lions on the Republican side in the business community, who think that Donald Trump should be nowhere the federal fist.
All right, well, Ron, let me ask you about that, because one of the things that's been raised here is that people are conflating issues, as my friend Richard might have there, just say, you don't want a guy like this to do things. Yet I've seen him undertake projects that weren't getting done on a municipal level here in New York with the Woman Rink. It was just sitting, stagnating for years. In a matter of months, he gets the job done under budget, and away we go. So I'm not saying the world is the Woman Rink, but by the same token, I am saying that he does have a history of getting huge projects done under budget. And wouldn't you want that for someone who's watching our monies?
Yeah, when I was a kid growing up in New York, the first time I ever heard Donald Trump's name was about that same ice skating rink where the city of New York spent years and could not get an ice skating rink going, and Donald Trump came in under budget and still runs that ice skating rink today. That type of thing, you never see an entrepreneurial spirit or even that level of accountability in government whatsoever. And it is a common technique on the part of the left, and we've seen this in my home state of California all the time. Whenever someone comes out of the private sector and runs for office and is not a career politician and has had to make tough choices, what happens on the left is they take that business record and they replay it and subject it to political standards, and any time there's been a dispute or anything like that, all of a sudden, you know, it's blown up into a big deal. Donald Trump is running for a different type of an office now with different parameters and the like, and it would be refreshing to have someone who's actually going to hold government contractors accountable, to make sure that we're competitively bidding for those things.
Well,
which,
we'll see. I mean, the tough love can, as we've seen politically, play both ways. Juliegrace, one of the things that comes up, though, is that all this stuff is getting in the way, whether it's being tough with contractors, whether it's a comment about a beauty pageant's weight, and it distracts from his message. And he was not effective, at least in that debate, countering and turning this around and saying, well, if you want more deficits, if you want government cost overruns, if you want programs that start out as $100 billion and turn into $1 trillion, then she's your person. But he didn't do any of that. So he's had to answer to these charges that he's Ivan Boesky with different hair. What do you think?
I mean, I don't think it's a big secret that Trump isn't a choir boy. You don't build a billion-dollar empire without stepping on some toes along the way. And Hillary Clinton has no room to talk in terms of corruption with business. I mean, she's had issues that stem all the way back to Whitewater. So, I mean, I think he's had more success when it comes to sticking on message. But his tax plan is fantastic. It's very reminiscent of Congress's GOP A Better Way plan that Speaker Ryan recently laid out.
But she is winning that PR battle. I think it's safe to say, whether you agree or disagree, she's winning that PR battle because he doesn't respond to her and say, well, say, well, am I using bankruptcy court to advance my wealth? You used your time in the White House to advance yours. But he didn't. He was caught flat-footed. What does he have to do then, in your opinion, in this debate, Juliegrace, to change the narrative?
I mean, he needs to stay on message. He needs to stop attacking over petty things. But there was a Gallup poll that came out, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that said millennials trust him to handle Wall Street corruption more than they do Hillary Clinton. And there was a Washington Post poll that came out earlier this week that said that Americans trust Trump more with the economy. So
what do you think of that, Richard, that your candidate, despite these attacks on issues that matter to people like money and all that and getting the economy turned around, they go to him?
Yeah, and we saw the same exact thing with Mitt Romney when he was running for president. A former business guy is credited with kind of knowing how to make businesses and make the government, as a result, work. The problem that Trump has is we had a Clinton administration where we had the most robust economic growth and job creation ever, 78 straight months under Barack Obama of private sector job growth, and lower taxes, smaller government, more defense. That was the George W. Bush program, which ended up in the biggest economic collapse we'd ever seen since the Depression. That's the problem that Trump's going to have.
George W. Bush didn't create the banking crisis. I mean, but go ahead.
He didn't, for sure. But he did say phooey on regulations, and as a result, I think you could argue the regulators tended to look the other way, at least a little bit.
Well, we have more regulations now, and this Wells Fargo thing happened right under their triple staff feet. So, Ron, what I'm asking you is, how does Donald Trump convince people that a businessman, that his particular business skills are necessary now? Because he's losing them on the EQ level, the emotional level. He's looking like, you know, that banker in It's a Wonderful Life. What does he do?
Yeah, the American free enterprise system has created the biggest and most generous country on earth in terms of the size of the economy, in terms of the generosity of Americans given to charity and the like. Nobody competes around the world. And the first 20 minutes of the debate on Monday, Donald Trump did a good job. He was winning in the first 20 minutes. If you look at my Twitter feed, first 20 minutes, he was doing great when he's focused on economic growth.
You know, he sunk like the Titanic after that. Yeah.
And then the tax question came, and he never got it back. He needs to focus on that. There's one candidate running for president who is a strong defender and proponent of the American free enterprise system, and that's Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton never defends the virtues of this system that's generated so much wealth and generosity in the world, in the American free enterprise system. If he plays to that and focuses on that, you know, he will win this election. But what we've seen in terms of the distractions, that has all got to go away. And it's also a unifying message to focus on the free enterprise system as well. Republicans up and down the ballot can unify behind that message.
Well, yeah, he's still got his work cut out for him there. We'll watch closely. Guys, I want to thank all of you. I appreciate it.